was working in John Courts in Auckland on the corner of Victoria Street and Queen Street. My husband Alan at that stage was up at the savings bank just up the road. I can remember quite well that he came to me one day and said that we had planned to be married in March, having had a 2.5-year engagement, but that he'd been given a rise, I think, to £5 a week. And would I like to get married in January? So we did. Now, Alan said to me that in the event of war, he would be a pacifist and would refuse to go to war. It was against his religious beliefs. And so I just said, well, that's all right. I wasn't really interested in the fact that he wasn't going to go to war. I don't think I took too much notice of it. I'm pretty sure I didn't.
From the north across these peaceful waters comes a shadow. Japan. Now our own soil is threatened. We see for the first time the prospect of unfriendly feet attempting to despoil our land.
He got a call up to present himself for military service, and he refused to go. And he said his wife was in the nursing home with a young baby and was granted a 1-month extension. So in those days, it was customary to stay in the nursing home for 2 weeks. You stayed in bed for 10 days and you got up for the last 4, and it was a lovely holiday. So at the end of that 1-month extension, when my little baby would then be 6 weeks old, Alan was required to go to the police station. So I left Alan. They had taken his tie, they'd taken his shoelaces. And Alan had been a professional businessman, always in a collar and tie at the bank. And so I saw Alan with an open-necked shirt, and they took his wedding ring. And I felt pretty sad. But I was with another girl who was seeing her husband also being left behind. And the two of us walked from Princess Street Police Station to Balmoral Road and Dominion Road, because we'd both been crying so much we didn't feel we could get on a tram and go home. I would think what influenced me more than anything was my concern about the way people would look at me, how neighbours would look at me. I'm quite sure I've evaded questions when people said, you know, where's your husband? I think I would have evaded it. This was a difficult time, both for his mother, for my mother. Remarks to people in the street, what's your son doing? He's in the Pacific, was a satisfactory answer for her. She could not bring herself to say he was a defaulter. She couldn't bring herself to say he's a conscientious objector. I don't think anyone had any idea of the pressures that were put on people to be behind the war effort.
These planes flew over Christchurch, and the people of Christchurch heard the noise, saw the point, and bought nearly £300,000 worth of bonds to build the Air Force. Among the cities, Palmerston North led in sales per head. Next best was Wellington, and Auckland sales passed the £500,000 mark as the best total in New Zealand. Pretty girls were good saleswomen, but the best selling point was the knowledge that our fighting services could use what we could give them. Now was our chance to show that we could give it. And New Zealand produced the 10-Day Wonder, a campaign that brought in almost twice as many pounds as there are people in the country. But they deserve it and more. We'll give them what it takes, whatever it takes.
There was one man at that time working in the bank name I'm happy to give. It was Campbell Patterson. He went to the manager and said, "It has been our custom when a boy has gone overseas from the bank to give him a gold watch." And he said, "We'd like to do that for Alan." And the manager was furious. An insult to the boys who'd gone overseas. Thought that was dreadful to even suggest it. So I know Campbell went back and talked about it. And amongst the group that he talked to was a man who'd come back from the war having lost his eye. And that man went up and spoke to the bank manager also and said, "I would support Campbell in saying, let's give him a gold watch." And he still would not have that. So Campbell then went amongst the staff who were there and discussed with them what they could do. And I know the largest amount given by any one person was a shilling. There were threepences and sixpences. They took up a collection, and all the years that Alan was in detention, those 3 years, they paid me 10 shillings a week into my bank account. Far more than any gold watch, and of so much greater value for me.